Remember when we were covering those horrendous floods in Guangdong, in Shenzhen, and southern China? This was on the same day that like these floods were ravaging the south.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
This was the front page of CGTN.
Yeah.
And there's nothing about the floods on here.
Do you remember how apocalyptic those floods were?
Yes.
And this is what the front page coverage was.
Yeah. What have you got here? You've got something about earthquakes in Morocco. Some Azerbaijan says
Lots of
American
Xi Jinping.
forces fired on its troops, polls
Armenia.
open in Moldavian, whatever. She extends condolences to Moroccan king. She stresses striving for full revitalization. What else? I bet you there's more she shit in here. Yeah, she urges teachers to contribute more to realizing. World Bank announces this, but the main thing is, a month after deadly Hawaii fire, 66 people still missing.
So while China is underwater,
Yeah, and like, who knows how many people
potentially
died?
thousands of people dead.
Yeah, I mean more if you think
Whole
about
cities
Yeah.
underwater.
Entire cities.
The moment that this came out, and it is not one. So you go to see. By the way, if you're a Westerner that speaks English and you want to go to Chinese, by the way, this is CGTN is run by the propaganda department.
Yeah,
in
this
China.
is the Chinese government website.
You go and you go, okay, yeah, I know CGTN is the Chinese government, but at least I'll learn something about China.
Yeah.
So you go there. And
No,
you
you
go,
won't.
I've
You'll
heard a
only-
lot about these floods.
Yeah.
Let's have a look. Let's see. Let's get it straight from the horse's mouth. Click. A month after deadly Hawaii fire, 66 people missing.
I tell you what, if you ever want to find out the worst things happening in America or the worst parts of America, if you want to see homeless problems and stuff,
Yes.
that's when you go to CGTN.
Something really interesting happened, and you probably see that from the CGTN thing. Why are they putting so much focus on that? Right?
Yes.
Why would you care so much?
Sure,
right?
why would you care?
Play it a little bit more so you can get a photo here.
Okay.
Well, it all started with an article that was put out by the Chinese government. Actually, you can go back to that.
Okay.
We'll cover some of the photos in a little bit. But you may have seen something like this, and I want to get it in its purest form because I managed to backtrack all the way to the beginning of this.
Right.
There was a huge campaign that was actually started by the Chinese government to spread disinformation / misinformation about the Hawaii Maui fires.
Yes.
And I knew this was going to happen. China does this every time there's a disaster in the West, especially in America right now. And it turns out it all stemmed from the Chinese government. And what happened was this Genesis article was put out in Chinese and then translated into English from the Chinese government maliciously on purpose, trying to disseminate it through social media channels in the US.
Okay.
The whole purpose of this article was to tell people in America that their own government set Hawaii on fire, right? And that it was confirmed by British intelligence.
British MI6
Yes.
personally
personally
broke
did it.
the news. Okay.
And all these thousands and thousands of people are missing. And on top of that, which, by the way, this campaign ran completely parallel with Russia's misinformation campaign about the exact same thing. But this one actually stemmed from China, was that while the U.S. government takes all this money and gives it to Ukraine, they let Hawaii suffer, right? Which has there's no connection to those
there's no
funding,
connection, yeah.
right? And they came up with all these ridiculous things about how, Congress spent all this money even though Congress wasn't in session. It was this whole thing. At your own leisure, I've put all the sources down below. You can read through the Genesis article if you want and all the fact checkers that we ran this through.
Yeah.
Now, let's go on to how this actually came about. Because I actually had people reaching out, sending me this very thing.
Yeah, a lot of people were sending me this garbage.
So you can see here on the right, you see this photo on Twitter, right?
Yeah.
Do you see that's a verbatim post of the Chinese government's disinformation
Yeah, it says
article?
burst.
Now, you
the
have to
British
understand-
MI6 personally broke the... okay, I don't think the MI6 is personally going to break something because it's not a person.
Yes. Now, you know what's funny?
What?
Is that you may think, you could be devil's advocate and you go, okay, well, China covered this and then it just got spread around. No, this was crafted.
It was made by China.
From the beginning to be a lie, to pry on heartstrings and take advantage of people's mistrust of the government, mistrust of things that are going around in the media and news, and they employed AI technology to do such a thing.
Yeah, take a look. The second down, there's a second one down there. Again,
I'll cover that in a
burst
second,
the British. Yeah, I'm just like, they're two different accounts.
Oh, there's many accounts.
No, of course. I'm just showing that there are two different accounts posting the exact same thing over and over and spreading it like wildfire.
No
literally.
pun intended. So on the right, you have the exact same thing on Twitter. You have the Genesis article that is being proliferated everywhere. Now, a lot of social media places, unlike Twitter, removed this because it turned out to be a propaganda campaign from the U.S. or from China. Against
the US
the US
has their own propaganda campaigns, but it's not like this.
That's not how it works.
No.
You don't. It turns out when you're just so cool, you don't actually need to do this.
Sure, it's less propaganda, more soft power.
Soft power by being awesome.
Yeah.
And having awesome people.
Sure.
Like Chinese people that come here and take advantage of the awesomeness.
Yes.
Anyway, not to get off on a tangent. This is the Genesis article posted verbatim. But on the left, you can see a Rumble feed. A Rumble is an alternative video site. And it took the verbatim article from the Chinese government and then distilled it into many, 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 many different videos, right?
Yeah.
The lasers were used against Hawaii to set it on fire. Look at this picture. You can see it. This burned, but this didn't burn. And all the conspiracy theorist type people went wild with it, right?
This picture is not real, right?
You'll see that. You'll see all the ones that they use. We ran it through. The people that did the study ran it through this AI. Is it AI thing? It's like a tool you can use. It's really cool. Maybe we'll look at it. So you can see there's the real stuff, the straight from the Chinese government, and then it disseminated through other alternative platforms.
Yeah, I mean, like
it was on big art. It was on big things like Breitbart and stuff. Big channels.
You know what I really hate is that the fringe left and right always jump on anything that's like America bad.
Yes.
Every single time. That's why it's so easy for the Chinese government to disseminate propaganda, because they know that it's going to be, Rumble's going to be full of this shit. Twitter's going to be full of this shit. Like every lefty and every prepper and everything in between, that's on the fringes. Everyone that's like, oh, you know what? America sucks.
Any America bad is going to latch onto this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and they run with it. I mean, look how many articles are coming up on Rumble that you said over there. Look at this garbage.
So look at this.
And Twitter. Yeah, there's all Twitter.
This?
Yeah.
This is, I wanted to include this because this is different takes on the same thing.
Yes.
But it's the same images used. And guess what?
And they always say burst. I guess that's supposed to be like breaking.
It is breaking.
Yeah. They say burst.
It's the same thing.
Yeah. But you don't say that in English, though.
Because
in
it's
Chinese,
directly translated.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
good point.
You don't say burst. You say breaking.
Anyway, do you see all these images?
Yeah.
These are AI.
Yeah, they're all AI images.
So these were being pushed by these accounts that are still on Twitter, by the way.
Yeah.
They have not removed these.
Nope.
They've removed them off of Meta and Facebook. They have not removed them off of Twitter. These are allowed to proliferate. Some of these posting over and over again with impunity, not being picked up by bot filters or anything. And what happens is this gets out there, and then it's like Chinese whispers or telephone game.
Yeah.
Then one person hears it.
I think it's very apt to call it Chinese whispers, to be honest.
Quite literally.
Yeah, Chinese government whispers.
So you have all these AI images that were being propagated by these bot accounts and then picked up by real human beings, right? And I just want to show you an example of a bot account. This is Nicole Hayes. This is not a real human being, but you might look at that avatar and say, well, that's a real person. But actually what they do is, can you take us out of here?
Sure.
They use this website called This Person Does Not Exist. And this has been using campaigns against us. What they'll do is they'll come up with a person. You can put in your gender or your age and ethnicity, and it'll come up with a person that's not real. Right?
Yeah.
They do this to make avatars to make it look like a real human being.
Yeah.
And then you can use that to spread propaganda. And China does this all the time. They love this website.
Yeah.
Like I said, we had propaganda campaigns going after us, and they were making these fake accounts to proliferate material against us.
Oh, all the time, yeah.
And they use this. You can do it yourself. You can make your own. You can make your own avatar, and these people are not real. Right?
Yes.
These are AI generated images. But look, this idea that the U.S. If you hear this, by the way, this is the crazy thing. This is the mind-blowing part. If you hear that the U.S. use targeted laser energy weapons to set Hawaii on fire, and then there was a big cover-up, and then there was way more missing people than was actually counted, that was from this exact Chinese government article. It's been debunked.
Yeah.
And this went out across everywhere. I mean, this went all the way to like stuff that you could say is mildly credible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not like, I'm not talking about like the crazy batshit
InfoWars
stuff.
had it. That's credible, right?
My point was,
yeah,
they picked it up, obviously, but You had like Breitbart and stuff, which again, I would never ever say is a credible source. But you know what I would say is that it's very widely read.
Yeah.
Right. So this stuff was all over the place. And I saw some big personalities, I won't name names,
Sure.
that were speaking about this like it was doctrine. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And the genesis is made up from the Chinese propaganda department.
Yeah, they
It's
made this thing
insane.
up about lasers,
Yeah.
directed energy weapons, starting the fire in Hawaii.
Yes.
Because that's what the American government does, is it attacks its own people.
Yes. Yeah, that's what
You
they
know?
do. And you know what?
False flag, you know?
This is not all bots. These are real human beings. A lot of these people that it wasn't the bots started this fire,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
No pun intended.
Mm-hmm.
They started the fire all over social media for the misinformation campaign, but then real people ran with it, and it shows you how amazing this is. You have people that are very respected in this world sphere and have millions and millions of followers that were talking about an article that had fake AI generated images. They did not bother to cross-check.
No.
And ran with a Chinese propaganda campaign. And a lot of these people would be people that say, yes, I'm against the CCP. Yes, I hate how badly they treat their people. I don't want them to infiltrate America. But using their own mouth and their own audience to proliferate this very disinfo campaign.
Well, dude, remember when that Alaskan prepper guy actually quoted and linked the
Yeah,
Chinese government article
Yes.
in his own videos to say, oh, look, you know, America bad.
Yes.
It just goes beyond the realm of like crazy. But, you know, people always need to justify what they're saying and what they're doing. And there is a problem with alternative media, stuff like what we
Yes.
do. There's a big problem is that when you have an audience that respects you and follows you,
Yeah.
they don't need to do the fact checking, right? Because they leave it up to you. They're like,
Yes.
I trust what this person says.
Right.
So look, that's why we try our absolute best to always be as neutral as possible and to verify what we talk about. And if we ever do share something that's incorrect, we will correct ourselves.
Oh, of course.
But the thing is, if you've got somebody who has a legion of lefties following them or a legion of righties following them, they're going to look to what this person's saying and
For sure.
believe it and then spread it around on social media. So the Chinese government only needs to release something that's interesting and enticing for these fringe groups to get a hold of,
Yes.
and then it proliferates. And it's quite frustrating, to be honest.
For sure.
Yeah.
As I was going on, I want to continue.
Yeah.
So this is part of the reports, right? It says when wildfires swept across Maui last month with destructive fury, China's increasingly resourceful information warriors pounced. The disaster was not natural, they said in a flurry of false posts that spread across the internet, but was the result of a secret weather weapon being tested by the United States. To bolster the plausibility, the post carried photographs that appeared to have been generated by artificial intelligence programs, making them among the first to use these new tools to bolster the aura of authenticity of a disinformation campaign. Yeah. Foreign and domestic influence actors are capitalizing on the Hawaii wildfires to advance their own objectives. Russian and Chinese actors are leveraging shared narratives, asserting that the U.S. prioritizes military spending over citizens' welfare, almost certainly aiming to curtail the U.S. defense expenditure in relation to Ukraine and Taiwan, potentially affecting the 2024 U.S. elections. Influence actors are also engaging in disinformation campaigns, suggesting that the U.S. government caused the wildfires using weather or energy weapons, with a possible feedback loop between Chinese state-sponsored and domestic violent extremist DVE influence operations. So let's go and look at some of the proof.
Okay, let's look at the proof. And this makes complete sense.
Yes, it does,
because
doesn't
it? Russia's really struggling with Ukraine, and they
Yes.
want the US to stop helping. And of course, China's petrified of the idea that if they attack Taiwan, that America's going to step in and help.
Yes.
You know?
I wanted to make a quick correction. I meant InfoWars, not Breitbart. I was mixing them up in my head.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You meant InfoWars.
InfoWars was covering this like it was Doctor, but I don't want to say names.
Yeah.
But there was a person that was talking about this like it was reality, and I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked.
Right.
Anyway, look at this. You could run these pictures actually through this program, which is really cool. It's on Google. You can just Google it, right? And it checks if photos are AI, and it gives you percentages, scores based on what program was probably used to make it, which is pretty awesome. Which means that everyone can do their due diligence now.
Sure.
Right. They put this on here, and you upload this fire picture, right? And guess what? 99.9% is likely to be AI generated. Correct. Of course. I mean, you look at that, you know that's not a real photo.
No, it's not real.
This input is likely to be AI generated 89%. And this is actually an AI generated photo. And the reason it says 89% is because they use conglomerations of different photos to try and trick software like this to make it more realistic.
Of course.
which is pretty insane. Anyway, continuing on, there's plenty of fact checkers that I linked to in our description, which says the UK's MI6 did not reveal weather weapon used to cause wildfires in Hawaii. And the reason that's important is that was the genesis of this whole
Yes,
campaign.
remember, it's all like burst.
Yes.
MI6,
Yes.
personally,
Yes.
again, I highly doubt that if the MI6 had some kind of information like this, that they'd just release it into the wild.
Yes.
I feel like they'd be like contacting the CIA or something, being like, hey guys, we found something out here. You probably want to make sure this doesn't leak out. I feel like they're buddies. I feel like they're not enemies that are going to be ratting each other out.
I don't think that's how it works.
But I'm pretty sure if it did work like that, that's how it would go down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Probably.
I just doubt the MI6 is revealing like top state secrets of other countries just like that.
I don't think they're like on the phone. They're like, actually, I was going to tell you something, but I'm going to post it on Twitter first.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Burst.
Yeah. It's like bursts. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Anyway.
Yeah. So
this keeps going and going and going. And it turns out that, like I said, it was running in parallel with a Russian disinfo campaign.
Yes.
And why would it? Well, think about this. The U.S., like we were talking about earlier, just started selling tons and tons of weapons to Taiwan.
Yes.
Right? Increasing military aid. And the U.S. does the same thing to Ukraine. Russia doesn't want the U.S. to do this with Ukraine, and China doesn't want the U.S. to do this with Taiwan. Yeah. How perfect is it to run this campaign parallel?
Exactly. They want to.
If there's tragedy, China, we've proven this time and time again, will try to make people angry at their own country and exploit that.
They're horrible when it comes to tragedy, by the way.
Oh, it's disgusting.
They endorse people celebrating tragedy.
Yes.
When something bad happens in Japan, for instance, you'll see people cheering on the streets in China.
Yes.
It's really bad.
Yes.
Same if bad things happen in the US. But, mature countries don't do that. When there's an earthquake in China, no one's jumping up and down and laughing.
No.
No. It's horrible.
Yes.
Anyway, I just like the fact that this breaks it down. The claim appeared in a post on Facebook, archived here, published by Tian Huiyu on August 17, 2023. It's stated, burst, the British blah, blah, blah. Anyway, they go through it. It's a load of BS. It's bull. If you fell for this energy-directed weapon, weather weapon thing, come on, guys. Seriously.
So the reason I want to bring this up was I got personal emails from people that were nice. They were fairly respectful.
Yeah.
But then they literally laid out each point in this article.
Yeah.
Right? And they didn't see that article. They saw a guy on Rumble or a guy it was a guest on another talk show.
Of course, it disseminates. And
Yes.
the thing is, you have the genesis, like you say, this burst, okay?
Yes.
And most people, if they read that, to be like, why is it saying burst? That's a little weird.
Yes.
But once it's been filtered through other people, they're not saying burst anymore. They're like, this is a fact. It's been disclosed that this and that, and you start to believe them.
This guy does open source intelligence.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So he usually covers things from the Russia side of things.
Yeah, he keeps an eye on Russia, yeah.
So in a bunch of other stuff, but basically he fights disinformation.
Is that like a freaking dressing gown? No, it's definitely his pajamas.
No, you know what? I love how haphazard his setup is, because what he'll do is whatever country he's talking about, he'll have the flag like up there, right?
Yes.
So he has the Hawaiian flag up there.
Okay.
So anyway, while I was looking through this stuff, I'm not very informed on the Russia side of
I know
things.
nothing about Hawaii. Why does it have the British flag in it?
It's a whole long story. I'll get into it sometime.
Okay.
It's all has to do with the British and then Dole plantations, all this kind of stuff.
Okay.
I learned about it. Anyway, long story short, Ryan Macbeth does open source intelligence, and he analyzes disinformation campaigns, which I love. I've been learning a lot from him from the Russia side of things.
But he does it in his pajamas while drinking
He's
alcohol.
very relaxed, dude. He's a character, and he's in very good shape, actually. He runs like marathons and stuff.
Doesn't
apparently.
look like
Say,
it.
Ryan, you're not going to get mad.
No, I feel like he just says that.
No, he always posts pictures. Yeah, maybe he's...
Yeah, he just says that. He doesn't look like he runs marathons. Give me a break.
He's joking, Ryan. We respect your work. Anyway,
We absolutely do. I'm just taking the piss.
He does amazing stuff.
Keep up the good work.
I highly
And I wish I could sit around in my pajamas drinking alcohol and making videos.
Me too.
Yeah.
I highly
suppose I
recommend.
could.
I highly recommend you go to Ryan Macbeth Programming and follow him, because his stuff is amazing.
Check him out. He is actually really good. I've seen some of his stuff.
He's doing the work that is stopping this kind of stuff. And I wanted you to watch from the Russia side of things, like him like dismantling the Russia side of things, because I cover the China part, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to play this little clip, and I want you guys to give him a subscribe after he's done.
Yeah, please. And you might want to say the China show sent you.
Yes, say the China show sent you.
Yeah. Anyway, grab your pajamas, grab your whiskey, and let's see what he has to say.
Russia exploit the Hawaiian wildfires for their own benefit. Dr. Carolyn Orbueno, who is a journalist and researcher, went down the rabbit hole in some tweets involving the Hawaiian wildfires.
So she basically did what Velocity does, but manually. And this phrase kept popping up.
Hawaii, not Ukraine.
She traced the phrase all the way back to the original creator on an account that was just created last month. And you know how I talk about Russian dip, deceptive imagery persuasion?
Well, the doctor found that 10% of sampled tweets contained this imagery.
Now all you need is someone from the established media to pick up on the zeitgeist of what's happening on Twitter, and then they repost that as actual news.
Which is exactly what happened.
This is how Russia injects their narrative into the mainstream media, and it's how people like Tucker Carlson or Tulsi Gabbard can actually repeat a Russian narrative and not even know they're doing it. You can find Dr. Bueno's article at weaponizespaces.substack.com or just click the link in the description below.
You know what I like about him? He has nothing to do with politics. He's completely independent. So he does this stuff and he has no political bias, which is fantastic. That's what we do. If something's a lie and it's coming from a government that's trying to cause misinformation, disinformation to your country, then it's pretty easy to be unbiased when you find the source of where it came from.
Correct.
You know what I mean? It's even got its own Wikipedia now.
Yeah.
It turns out it was a massive conspiracy theory, but the conspiracy theory is not innocent. It's not aliens. It's not one of those things where
It's
people
not like
run to
Mexican
something.
aliens or whatever. Come on,
No,
what the
that
hell?
was brought to Parliament. So I don't even know
That's
about
some
that.
BS right there.
Wow, man, that was interesting. But there is no China. I was gonna cover that because it's been in the news, but there's no China
It's
side
not
to
got
it,
nothing to
so.
do with China, other than faking it.
Yeah. Anyway, the conspiracy theory thing has now gotten entry at Wikipedia because it turns out it was a Russia-China psyop, but mostly from the China side with the Burst article. That's where I trace it back to. With all the fact checkers and stuff. So it's pretty interesting. You can actually see the genesis of something that has caused a lot of turmoil in the U.S. This is not something where it's like.
So when you go to Wikipedia and look up the Maui wildfires, you get this conspiracy theory part on the actual Wikipedia article.
Yeah, you know what's bad though is that this caused so much dialogue in the U.S. and huge personalities bringing this to the forefront and potentially influencing people's minds in one way or the other. And guess what? This has way bigger implications than just making people think the U.S. government burned down Hawaii. This has implications, which I want you to read in the articles below, which I don't want to get into because I don't want to turn this into like a big shouting match about bullshit.
Yeah.
But there are big implications that this might be used next year.
Stop allowing China to meddle and create division, because how many arguments have been had over this? How many people have been sitting around the dinner table and shouting at each other where someone's like, our own government's burning our people alive, and they're like, no, they wouldn't do that, and all this stupid shit.
And then
China wants that.
And then you show them where the article came from, which literally created the fantasy.
Yeah, it came
and then
from
they go,
China.
That's bullshit.
That's bullshit because
you're bought and paid for.
Yeah,
You know
that's
what I mean?
bullshit because like cherry rifle wood chopper told me that it was like real, or
Patriot 69 said he'd put his life on the line if this wasn't true.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, the Pinkhead Lipstick Club told me.
Yes.
Anyway, it's kind of lame. Just stop allowing it. Don't be gullible is really the end result.
Again, I don't want to say this over and over again, but it goes both ways. It's both the alt-left and alt-right that goes
really
ape
is.
for this stuff.
And it's anyone who's dissatisfied with their life and they want to see change in America and they hate the current whatever. They hate the patriarchy or they hate the lefties or they hate the righties or whatever the hell they hate. They want to see the system fail.
Yes.
And so anything that points to the system being bad, they're going to jump on it and be like, you see, I told you so.
And selfish, self-serving stuff too.
It's
you get
rubbish.
big personalities that get a story out of it. They make money, right? Or they want to influence politics.
Isn't it freaking annoying? Because I'm all for people pointing out the problems with their government. You have
course.
to. It's what makes the West the West.
Yeah.
America, I should say. You can't do that in China.
No.
You can't discuss the government, period, unless you're praising them.
Yeah.
But it's just taken too far, okay? Criticize your government, but don't lap up anything that comes your way that just fits your narrative, because that's how propaganda works. They tailor it for your narrative. They're like, okay, we know these guys don't like Trump, so let's go and make something about how Trump is bad, and people jump on it. Oh, these people don't like Biden, so let's make something that makes Biden
And then
look bad.
they latch onto it, and the thing is that when you point, like I said, you go back to the genesis, you point out, you can break down every single point where it came from.
Yeah.
This was from a government with malign influence campaigns that want your country to fail for their own benefit, and
using
you show
your
them the
own
blueprints.
social media
Yes.
against you.
Here it is, and they go, see, you're brainwashed. You know, you're a sheep. You're falling for what they want you
Mainstream
to say.
media, that kind of thing. Whatever, guys. Anyway, we know that our audience is smarter than that, and we
Yeah,
know that
of course.
you go out and you do your own research. But
I want to rein this in.
Yeah.
I don't blame anyone that falls for anything.
Yeah, exactly.
It's sophisticated. It's hard to figure out. You probably don't have 40, 50 hours a week like we do to sit through all this stuff and try to figure this stuff out.
No.
Right? Someone's gonna tell you something and you'll probably take it at face value, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But just know that this is ramped up like exponentially.
absolutely.
These campaigns are everywhere now. And if you know a little bit about how to search for things and stuff, you can figure it out. I'm gonna show you the funniest show and the craziest show you've ever seen. I did it, guys.
You look
I told
ridiculous. You look ridiculous. What are you supposed to be, a bloody baker?
Yeah. And he's wearing this like condom.
What is that?
I don't want to be one of those guys like, oh, the clowns are scary, but this shit was scary. Purple and yellow balloon, like a balloon suit, fitted tights. And she goes, come here, and like she like pulls me, right? She's like, take your pants off. No, take them off. I was grabbed, I was handled.
Well, you're basically the naughty baker.
I didn't do anything naughty.
Oh, this is cringe.
Can almost see it. When I take a breath, you fill up my lungs. And if my mind